This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Fann, the preacher man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the preacher man.
Well, welcome today to another edition of Straight Talk, and look at me today. Woo, don't I look good? Don't I look good?
Thank you, funeral sharp.
Y'all, man, I tell you,
thank
you so very much. Thank you so very much. Well, we got Shanan back in the studio today. I tore up his contract, and he made it back in the studio.
Let's tell the truth. The contract negotiations went well, and my agent told me I could come back.
They went well?
They went well.
That's right. When I throw the contract in your face, they went real well.
Went well. My agent told me I could come back.
Well, listen, we got a great program planned for you today. You know, we got Miss C. She's going to come and she's going to give news and information.
We sorry we got to turn you over to Miss C.
Oh, we sorry we got to turn you over.
That's where you got to get the information from.
Miss C.
Don't blame us.
Blame Miss C. But anyway, the other thing that we're going to be doing, we got Sean Garvey, who is a radio host at WAOK 1380 on your AM dial. And Sean's going to be talking about his new program that he's doing on mental health. You know, we got a lot of mental health issues, and by his program that he's having each and every Monday. So don't go nowhere. You stay there, and then Shanan and I are going to come back. After that, then we'll be talking more about Black History Fact with Brother James Broom. And this week, I guess, is Angela Milo. Let me tell you about Angela Milo. And then we're going to, boy, you know, we told you we were going to talk about that surfer this week, that Vernon Jones. We're going to be talking about that surfer. We'll be back to talk about him. Yeah, we got to talk about him. And don't you touch that dial.
Why are you so small?
Hey, man, because I am small compared to you. But anyway, here we go. Then we got, then we have, Jefferson. After Vernon Jones and after Herschel Walker, because I was finna find out what I was finna say something about you, but all right, let me go on. That contract, you ain't worried about that contract. That's why you slapped in the face with it. But anyway, we're gonna have Herschel Walker. He's gonna be talking about Donald Trump and his endorsement of certain candidates and why he's endorsing certain candidates. We're gonna have Mrs. Hayes. Dr. Hayes, who is a strategist for Donald Trump campaign overseas. And she's going to tell us what his plan is and the Republican plan is for 2022. Don't you go nowhere. You stay right there with Shanan and I right here on Straight Talk.
Hi, Miss C with your 3-minute news blast or more. Hey, Greg. Hey, Shanan. How y'all doing? I just want to thank y'all so much for allowing me to do these 3 minutes. You don't know how honored I am. I have to, every week, I go through a tutorial with Greg Fann. He calls me prior to my recording, and he tells me everything that I need to do. Now, today, I can't look at my paper because he says I shouldn't be looking down. But how do you read if you don't look down? But anyway, we're going to do the best we can. So if I have some senior moments, just bear with me. It's Greg Fann, the preacher man's fault, okay? All right. The 57th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, commemorating the Selma to Montgomery March and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, will be held Sunday, March 6th. The bus is going to leave at 6 a.m. from the IBEW building. That's at 501 Pulliam Street. And it'll be returning at 9:30 p.m. to the IBEW building on Pulliam Street. Now, if you need more information, contact Ms. Swanson at 404-454-9347. Did I do good that time? Anyway, Monday, February 28th at 6:30 p.m., join the NAACP Atlanta for their 105th anniversary. It's going to be held at the East Point City Hall. That's at 2757 East Point Street in East Point. For more information, go to NAACPAtlanta.org. Central Holiness Church of Deliverance at 1069 Washington Street in Atlanta welcomes you to Sunday morning service at 11 a.m. They also invite you to Youth Day every second Sunday and to Joy Night every Friday at 7:30 p.m. And they also want you to join them for Bible study on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. All right. The 40th pastoral anniversary honoring Pastor and Lady Gittens will be held February 27th, 1:30 p.m. at Silverleaf Baptist Church. That's 1923 Turner Road in Atlanta. And they have titled this event, The Refining. All right, on Saturday, February 19th, Team Unity presents a birthday jubilee celebration honoring Lady Von Seal Belcher, and it's going to be held at Central Holiness Church of Deliverance, 1069 Washington Street in Atlanta. There's going to be a lot of invited guests. Call them at 678-994-1663 or 678-485-0896 for more details. If you missed any of that, it's Greg's fault because he didn't want me to look at the paper. So anyway, would you please subscribe to our channel? On the screen, there's a little button that says subscribe. And also, would you also like us? We would certainly appreciate it. It would be most helpful. And if you have any announcements you'd like for me to announce, just send them to me at... what's that address, Greg? Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. See, I'm not looking at my paper and I'm having those senior moments, okay? Now, that's Straight Talk News 1362 at gmail.com. Now, if you miss any of this, just rewind after we finish, okay? And we're going to see you next week. Bye.
Well, I'm here today with the WAOK radio host Shanan Garvey with Mental Space. The name of his program is called Mental Space. It comes on Monday. He'll tell you more about it. But Shanan, I'm glad to have you. He's a good friend of mine, so we go back some years when he was over at WTGH and I was over at TGH, and he helped me to learn how to operate the board there at WTGH. I'd done it at WYZE, but wasn't familiar with that board. And he was instrumental in helping to tutor me. And I thank you, Sean. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's an honor to be on your platform. And yes, we go way back to the times where we had to turn the knobs on the switchboard. Yeah, I remember those days. I remember those days like it was yesterday.
It was. We've come a long way from yesterday. But Sean, you're dealing with issues on your program that most people in society kind of dismiss: mental illness. And we've been talking about it because we see people on the street sleeping on the streets, and we wonder, why are they sleeping on the street? And many of these people have mental conditions, and then we have some people, don't want to get off the street. When you try to get them off the street and you put them in a shelter, they still want to stay on the street because of their condition. So let's talk about your program and how did you come up with the idea of doing this program, and when do you air your program?
Sure, absolutely. So great question. The name of the show is called The Mental Space with Shanan Garvey. And it's a new once-a-week program that we are going to air on WAOK 1380 AM in Atlanta, Monday nights from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to make sure that I say Eastern Standard Time because we are going to have so many people, Bishop Greg Fann, tuning in to the show from all across the country and all across the globe. But the premise of the show is to talk about all things considered mental health in our community. And every 5 seconds to every 5 minutes, Bishop, we always hear about mental health. Mental health has to be number one, the top number one in leading causes of illnesses, deaths, unfortunate incidents, you name it. You always hear about it in the news. So I want to be that vessel to WAOK, not just only as a person who's been known to be the radio producer for multiple shows on WAOK, but I also want to be in front of the scenes talking and interacting with people, whether it's people of influence or just regular people, to talk about mental health, to break down all the different contributing factors leading up to mental health, and to also tell you in a nutshell, Bishop Fann, this is not just a talk show about talking about all things considered mental health. This is more so of what I call a testimonial show, a show where people are calling in and sharing their testimonial stories about how they dealt with mental health, or somebody they knew or they know who's currently dealing with mental health and finding preventable ways to overcome mental health as well as mental illness.
You know, one of the things, Sean, and you know, you've always been a trendsetter. You know, ever since I met you, this is very unique that you would be doing this, and that people would be calling in and talking about how they deal with mental health and deal with it with their family members, because you know we have family members who suffer through with mental illness, and so it's a challenging thing. It's like dementia. And I say dementia is kind of like an early stage, sometimes a part of mental health when people have dementia. So, and people need to discuss these things, talk about them. What are the signs? That you may be occurring, that you may have some mental health challenges, because it really is, and from what my understanding, is more of a chemical imbalance. And they try to treat it through medications and those kinds of things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And when they close down all the mental health institutions, now we have people just out in the street that no one is attending to and dealing with these conditions. I don't know if you saw the other week on the news, the young man that was out in East Point out on Fann Road and just shooting their cars at night, just shooting their cars. With a mental health condition. You know, I mean, his mom was telling me, get a gun, rifle, and he took it out and just started shooting at cars, you know. These are the challenges that we're facing. Your program can help people to understand how to deal with it, what's the cause of it, and hear from experts and people who are in that field. And I want to thank you, man, for taking that on.
Absolutely. And you know what, Bishop, I want to revisit a question that you asked me just a few moments ago. What motivated me to do this show, The Mental Space? I would say the short answer to that question, Bishop Fann, is 2020. And what happened in 2020? The pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. But that same year that the pandemic happened, I lost a couple of people to different types of deaths. You spoke about dementia. My grandmother, who was 86 years of age at the time, she passed away from Alzheimer's and other natural causes. That same year, I lost a friend of mine who died from stage 4 cancer. And what also added the icing to the cake was a personal relationship I had with a friend of mine that ended, and it put me in a total dark space in which I too, as a mental health advocate, I experienced depression, anxiety, and things of that sort. And I will go more in detail about that on the show when it premieres on Monday from 7 to 9 p.m. But I want to be able to take my own personal experiences and bring it to the airwaves, so that way it can be relatable to everybody that's listening to the show. And just how you spoke about the shooting and the rise of violence in East Point. Listen, I'm from Atlanta. I'm a native, born and raised on the south side of Atlanta. And I had to endure a series of events that were violent and that were detrimental to anybody, even to me and to my mindset. And as I see the landscape of so much that's going on, from road rage to young people, young adults taking their own lives or taking other people's lives, it's really something to add on to an ongoing conversation as it's dealing with mental health, because we're losing so many people, Bishop Fann, and we need to have an ongoing conversation to do something about this matter.
Well, I thank you so much, because you're doing something. You're opening an opportunity for open dialogue, and many times open dialogue brings about healing, because sometimes people, family members, don't see the signs, don't recognize the sign, or they try to act like there's nothing wrong when there is something wrong and need to be addressed. And the only way you can solve a problem is by addressing the problem, and you're doing that on your show. Can you give them the times it's going to come on again? That's 1380 WAOK?
Right, absolutely. So the times are 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's on a Monday night. I'm going to be coming on right after Derek Bozeman's show, Too Much Truth. So after Derek Bozeman's show, Monday night is my show, The Mental Space, with Sean Garvey from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And Bishop Fann, if you will allow me to, I want to let people know that there are alternative ways to listen to the program because, of course, 1380 AM WAOK, which is a very historic radio station, it can only reach to so many people. So if you don't listen to the show on what we call regular radio, 1380 WAOK, you can listen to us on WAOK.com. That's the website, WAOK.com. And you can download the Odyssey app for free. It is easy to use. You can download the Odyssey app to your mobile device and search for News and Talk 1380 WAOK to tune into the show that way.
Well, we'll certainly make sure they get that information. And I thank you so much for the work that you're doing in this field of mental illness. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you so much, Bishop Greg Fann, the preacher man. Thank you.
All right, my brother. Well, we'll have more about Sean's show and dealing with issues around mental illness. Well, I tell you, that was something else. There wasn't something else. Miss C talking about, Greg told me what to do. And if I mess up, then put a name on Greg. But you did a good job, Miss C. And just keep on listening to me, and you can do a better job than you've been doing. How about that? You always want to crack on something like that. Greg. Boy, the history of Maya Angelou, wasn't that telling? Young lady getting raped at an early age and was quiet and wasn't talking, and then later on, after she went to the school, blossom. That's blossom.
And just black excellence, man. I mean, from a writer to a producer to dancer to actress to professor, just, man, Maya Angelou. That's black excellence.
That's real black excellence in a real sense. But we're going to thank you for being with us as always. Don't forget to subscribe to the station. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like us, right? And you know, hit that bell and for the notification when we come on. You'll be able to see us. And if you want to be a regular listener or viewer of this program, all you have to do is just email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. If you have news and information, just send it to straighttalk1362@gmail.com. Now let's move on to Black History Facts.
The Preacher Man, right here on Straight Talk with Black History Facts with Brother James Broom.
In recognition of Black History Month, Straight Talk will be honoring author, poet, actor, director, and producer, Dr. Maya Angelou. Born Marguerite Annie Johnson on April 4th, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri, Marguerite was the youngest of two children born to Bailey and Vivian Johnson. At a very early age, Marguerite's parents divorced, and both children, Marguerite and her older brother Bailey Johnson, were relocated to Stamps, Arkansas, to live with their paternal grandmother, Annie Johnson. Due to the fact that Annie Johnson owned and operated a general store which sold much-needed basic commodities, the Johnson family prospered financially during the Great Depression. This made them an astonishing exception to the harsh economics of African Americans of the time. It was also around this time that Bailey Johnson Jr. nicknamed his younger sister Marguerite Maya, derived from him always calling her Maya sister. From the age of 8 years old, Maya did not speak one single word for 5 years as a result of being abused and raped by her mother's boyfriend. Now, this boyfriend was arrested and found guilty, but he was only jailed for 1 day. Well, 4 days after his release, he was murdered, and it was believed he was murdered by Maya's uncles. Now, during those 5 years of not speaking, Maya Johnson began to develop her extraordinary memory, her love for books and literature, and to develop her ability to listen and observe the world around her. It was while Maya and her brother attended Lafayette County Training School that one of the teachers there gradually persuaded her to start speaking again. She challenged the young Maya, saying, "You do not love poetry, not until you can speak it." Well, during World War II at age 16, while Maya Angelou attended the California Labor School, she became the first African-American streetcar conductor in San Francisco. Now, 3 weeks after completing school, Maya Johnson gave birth to her son, Clyde, who later changed his name to Guy Johnson. In the early 1950s, Maya began studying modern dance. She even met and studied under Ruth Beckford and Alvin Ailey. After studying African dance in New York, Maya returned to California and began to dance professionally in clubs around San Francisco, performing to African as well as calypso music under the name Marguerite or Rita Johnson. Well, it was while performing at the Purple Onion in San Francisco that she changed her professional name from Marguerite Johnson to Maya Angelou. Returning to New York in 1959 to concentrate on her writing, Maya joined the Harlem Writers Guild. In 1960, Maya Angelou heard Dr. Martin Luther King give a speech and eventually became SCLC's Northern Coordinator. This while she was actively involved in anti-apartheid protests as well. Well, during her lifetime, Maya Angelou was credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows spanning more than 50 years. She published 3 books of essays and 7 autobiographies, the best known of which was her first, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which tells of her life up to the age of 17. As a young adult, while perfecting her craft, Maya Angelou worked as a fry cook, a nightclub performer, appeared in Porgy and Bess. She was even a journalist in Egypt and Ghana. Maya Angelou worked alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. She also held a lifetime professorship of American Studies at Wake Forest University. In 1993, Maya Angelou recited her poem On the Pulse of Morning at President Bill Clinton's inauguration, becoming the first black as well as the first black female poet to make an inaugural recitation. Beginning in the 1990s, well into her 80s, Maya Angelou made well over 80 appearances a year on the lecture circuit. Although she was widely respected as a spokesperson of black people and women, attempts have been made to ban her books in some U.S. cities from U.S. libraries. Maya Angelou's major works have been labeled as autobiographical fiction, but many major critics have characterized them simply as autobiographies. Maya Angelou made a deliberate attempt to challenge the common structure of the autobiography by critiquing, changing, and expanding the genre. Well, on February 5th, 2011, then President Barack Obama awarded Maya Angelou the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor this nation can bestow on one of its citizens. In 2022, a quarter bearing her likeness went into circulation nationwide. Now, this coin has George Washington on the head's side, with Dr. Angelou being featured on the tail's side, with her arms uplifted in front of a bird in flight, with rays of sunlight streaking out from behind her. Maya Angelou died on the morning of May 28, 2014. She was 86 years old. That's Dr. Maya Angelou, a truly phenomenal woman and one of the brightest lights of our time. And you know what? They'll forget all about her. But we won't.
It's been Black History Facts with Brother James Broom right here on Straight Talk. Join us each and every Friday from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. with yours truly, Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E.Jones. And do share these Black History Facts with your family and friend, and do tune in to Straight Talk. Won't you? It ain't nothing but straight talk.
History facts, more Black history facts. Now this is history being made now. You have Donald Trump endorsing the surfer. You know I call him the surfer. Woo! Every time you call Vernon Jones, I can see him surf. Yeah, Donald Trump just told him, hey, you drop out of this race for the governor race and support Purdue, I'll support you for a congressional seat. And he failed for the Okie-doke. Oh, he's falling for the Okie-doke. And then you got Herschel Walker. Lord, God bless his heart. Herschel Walker's never been in politics, just been a football star, just ran the ball. Young man from Wrightsville, Georgia. Now he's being utilized by Donald Trump to run against Raphael Warnock. Boy, do you know, and we'll talk more about it after this over with, but I want to talk more about the fact that how many Republicans are going to be running in the Senate race and how many Democrats are running and how many Democratic senators or Congress people are talking about not running at all. Boy, we are up for some upsets and some changes in this country. Don't you go nowhere. You stay right there to Straight Talk with George the Great Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shanan E.Jones, who's back on the set because he got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. Absolutely nothing. Here we go. Here we go with this on Vernon Jones, Herschel Walker, and we'll be back on the other side.
Georgia Republican Vernon Jones now is changing political course. He announced today that he will be dropping out of the race to become the next governor of Georgia, which would have seen him going up against former Senator David Perdue in current Governor Kemp in the primaries. Mr. Jones says he will instead run for Congress. The Hill reports that he met with former President Trump last week, who promised to support Jones all the way. In his announcement, Vernon Jones endorsed Mr. Perdue as Georgia's next governor, and President Trump has also endorsed the former U.S. Senator's bid.
With 85,000 followers, mostly shows personal photos, including one with Donald Trump, Walker's longtime friend and the man who talked him into running for the U.S. Senate in Georgia. But the AJC found the Instagram page following a site that appears linked to a hardcore adult movie production company. And some of Walker's political enemies have been passing around the Instagram page connected with sites rife with scantily clad women.
I think it's sad. I think it's tragic for the state. I don't think that's representative of what Georgians want in their leadership.
Boy, the surfer, Vernon Jones. Man, isn't it amazing? But it is amazing though about this guy who, you know, he was a Democrat, CEO of DeKalb County, state representative. Now he's on the Trump train.
Paper Today had a piece, well not today, but a paper a couple of days ago, was a piece about Vernon Jones doing what he does, which is to be a professional politician. And this reporter was tracking him for 15 years of just trying to get, either holding a seat or trying to get another seat or running for something else and dropping out of it. This guy loves public funding.
For what reason? He's not doing anything to help the people. No. I mean, politicians are supposed to be elected to serve the people and not their own interests.
No, he wants to be seen.
Well, we know he wants to be seen.
And heard.
He wants to be seen.
Ain't got nothing to say.
You know he wants to be seen. That's why he was surfing.
They surfed him from DeKalb. They threw him over there. And they surfed him over and threw him over in the governor's race. And they surfed him out there. Surfed him over into the congressional race. They just throwing him around. And he's just everywhere. What does it profit of Vernon?
Well, what does it profit?
Gain the whole world
and lose
his soul and common sense. Mine is a terrible thing.
Isn't it? It really is. And Herschel, Polar Herschel. I mean, all the things, the accusations and things that they have on Herschel. You know, people, you have to look at, when you start voting for people, what have they done in terms of their public life, in terms of serving people? I mean, actually serving people, working for the interests of people, not because they are well known, because they play football, basketball, baseball, been an actor or actress or some other profession, but what have they done in terms of helping the cause of people, other than self-serving for themselves? So let's pay attention to this race. It's really because they're planning on trying to take out Reverend Warnock, because they said that's the most vulnerable seat. Just talk a little bit about that. Because there are 34 senators that's up for race. 20 of them are Republicans, and 14 are Democrats. They're trying to find someone to take out these senator seats. And Warnock seats, they say, is the most vulnerable one to go. They tried the governor of Maine. They tried to get him to run. But he said, Maryland rather. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. He said, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to do it. And he's a Republican. But he said, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But we're gonna find out more about what's going on in this game that they're playing, and that Vernon Jones has filled in and Herschel Walker has fallen in. The nominees of Donald Trump, the ones that he's appointing, the ones that he's supporting. Hey, anything Donald Trump supporting, I don't want in it. I want out of it. I don't know about you.
Building failed businesses to building failed politicians.
My. Well, we're going on the other side and hear what Dr. Hayes said. Dr. Hayes is an overseas strategist for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. And she's going to talk about his plan and the Republican plan for 2022. You think he wants the White House to be the president, but she says, as another plan afoot, listen to this.
Good to see you this morning. I mean, do we think this is actually happening? Is he serious about going forward in 24?
I think everyone wants to know that, but actually, let me tell you what Trump has been doing, because it could be earlier than 2024 and not because the election will be overturned. Trump has been endorsing candidates in each of the different states. We're kind of fed up with the rhinos, which are Republicans in name only. And the other thing is that what people don't understand is that the U.S. is a republic. And in that, you have to think of it like we're 50 different countries. And so he wants to really support state legislatures and secretaries of state so that a lot of the problems that happened in 2020 can get cleared up. But this is the talk that has been going on for 6 or 7 months. And that is, right now, 29 Democrats in the House have said they're not running again. The prediction is we're going to take the House and the Senate. They're talking about Trump being the Speaker of the Senate, and then he will be able to impeach Biden and Harris, and he will be able to take over because he'll be third in line to do that. And this is a lot of the conservative commentators have been talking about this with a lot of detail. Dan Scavino, who handles his social media, keeps sending hints out to us. We get messages in circuitous ways, but don't jump to 2024. I really think what we have to watch is what's going on in the States.
Forgive me, Jan, for jumping in, but I can't help but reflect, because we're talking so much about Russia at the moment. If this was some sort of strategy that Vladimir Putin had used in the past to try and retain or regain a position, we'd be calling it totally corrupt, wouldn't we?
Well, see, you're jumping ahead and not looking at it from the perspective of the U.S. The fact is that people want to recruit him to be the speaker. I'm not saying that that is Trump's plan, but the conservative people have been talking about that because the Speaker of the House does not have to be an elected official. So all I'm saying is watch what's happening in the states. Watch the people that Trump is endorsing. Watch after the midterms what happens, because if we take the House, then things are going to turn upside down.
Well, listen, Shanan, I tell you, Dr. Hayes, who is a part of Trump's team, and she talked about little tidbits of information that they've been passing on to them about a possible 2022 coup. Now, I want to go back to my point I made before we came over to her. In this midterm election, there are 29 Democrat Congress that's not running. 29 in this election. So if they take the House in this, then they control the House. If they control the House, then, and I'm gonna throw a metal wrench with this, then, because as she said, and I looked it up, you do not have to be a member of Congress to be the Speaker of the House.
That's crazy to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's in the
I mean,
Constitution.
she's sounding like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde to me, more like doctor than doctor, you know. But go ahead.
Yeah, but the reality, just Google it, it's in there, that you can. You don't have to be a member of the House to be the Speaker of the House.
Because the people don't elect a Speaker of the House.
They don't elect it.
We don't elect. We elect the Vice President. We elect the President. We elect senators. We elect congressmen. But we don't elect floor leaders.
No, we don't.
Elect community. So
we don't.
So that's That's an intragovernmental thing.
We don't do that. We don't do that. So I got a call come in. But listen, the thing that we need to understand more than anything now is that if in fact they take Congress, Congress then controls who becomes Speaker of the House.
Okay.
And if they make him the Speaker of the House with 29 Republicans that are running for re-election as senators and 14 that are Democrat is running for senator. The Democrats are already in a quagmire with, what's his name? Joe Manchin, who's a Republican who says he's a Democrat. But he's
not a Republican. He's just heartless.
Okay, all right. Well,
that's what he is.
Yeah, well,
heartless.
Well, most of them are heartless too. So let's just keep it right there, okay? So now here we are. We have 14. They want to knock Warner off, so then they'll have the majority there in the Senate.
Yeah.
So then, if Trump is the Speaker, now listen to this name. What if it's not Trump? What if it's Newt, who's been showing up lately? What if it's Newt Gingrich that they make the Speaker of the House? Trump still runs for president in 2024, right? But they still control the Senate and the House. So if they want to impeach Biden, come up with some reason to impeach Biden, correct?
Yeah.
So now Biden has been impeached by both the Congress and the Senate, right? Because Trump was only impeached by the Congress because the Senate didn't impeach him. So that's why he was able to continue to stay in office. Okay, so now what we have is a mess, a real mess, because now Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, becomes now the President of the United States. Then she will appoint who she wants to be the Vice President. Right? If Biden is impeached, if they can work that deal, right? It's crazy. It's really crazy, their plan. But they're working their plan because, as I said last week, and we've said before, is that as you look at all politics are local. They have begun to take local control in these cities. Because what they're doing is creating more cities so they can control the local politics of the cities. And Trump is against Republicans who do not go along with his foolishness because he called them the rhinos, right? So he has a group of people that's following him and that's believing in his politics and that creating these things. And Fox News, you can't believe nothing Fox News say. You can't believe nothing that Fox News say. I mean, really. Fox News said that Biden didn't have not one vote for his Build Back plan. But who voted with him? Well, Mitch McConnell, right? And some other Republicans. They get it passed. But Fox News said he didn't get one vote from the Republican side, but he did. Okay, so I'm just saying is that we got to look at what's really going on. Yeah. And as they are trying to stop, the other thing that we need to think about, if they get Congress and if they get the Senate, they can stop the committee that is investigating the insurrection.
Yeah, and start to build another contract with America.
Was that Newt Gingrich? That was Newt's plan. Oh, okay. I thought that was Newt's plan.
That was Newt's plan. Look, man, you know, I don't know how all this is going to change. I hear the doctor. I think that would be ambitious. But I think that people are moving away from serious-minded people are moving away from Trump. But I do think that he is a major dis-ease in the Republican Party. One that if you cut it out, it might damage and cause more problems. So they're trying to see how do they deal with the Trump issue without losing, having somebody, because they talk about a cancel culture. You touch Trump, it's like the Beehive for Beyonce. You touch Trump and they come out and they'll sting you. And next thing you know, you'll have folks running against them to get them out of office. So everybody's on eggshells. They're real nervous, but everybody knows that Trump is, if he says that he's going to run in 2024, they know that he will not be president ever again. No one knows this better, hear me, nobody knows this better than the Republican Party. The people that have to get on TV and make an insurrection look like a tour guided group session. Nobody knows it better than the Republican Party that Donald Trump is never to put his hand on a Bible and raise his hand again unless he is in court. He is never to take another oath. He is never to be elected. He is never to be appointed. They know that this man is dangerous, but he's also good for business. He's dangerous, but he's good for fundraising. He's dangerous, but he's good to bring folk together to approve their agenda. And that's what Republicans do. They fall in line. Democrats fall in love. And the problem with falling in love is in the middle of when you're working a strategy, you fall out of love, then you start divorcing and dividing and fighting and all this stuff, and you're in mid-flight, you understand, and you're in the middle of the war. That's not what Republicans do. But they know that this man is dangerous for an agenda, and this is what the Republicans are looking at. They're not looking, Steve Bannon said it. He said, we will be able to control politics in America for the next 50 years. That's what they were looking at.
Well, as you talk about it, and we talk about it, and we'll talk more about it, because this is straight talk. We don't do straight talk here. We don't be around the bush now. This is straight talk. Now, as we're looking at this, and we're talking about the division, but there's a division now in the Republican Party. I mean, there's a fight between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. Donald Trump people and Mitch McConnell people are at war. Now, it's who's going to win that battle.
Whatever's in the best interest. Here's this is the thing. Whatever's in the best interest for the party is, and you're going to see everybody fall in line, even if it means Mitch shuts up. Whatever's in the best interest of the party, while at the same time dealing with this disease that at any time can either go into remission, or it can metastasize and begin to spread. So they gotta deal lightly with it and do what's in the best interest of the party. Yes, there is a divide, and it's an ideological divide, and that divide is as old as America itself. It got uncovered. For years, they was able to keep that under the robes.
Until they got Donald Trump.
And Donald Trump, when he lift up the skirt and the robes and the tablecloths and let you see what was really going on. And said all the crazies that were down here that were being controlled by the Mitch McConnells and controlled by the Gingriches, we're going to give you a chance to come. So you get fools like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, Lord.
Says, oh, I can be a congressman?
Oh, Lord.
I can be what Gingrich was?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, girl, come on in here. So she runs in, and so now you got these kooks that are in place, that they've been able for years to keep these people, that they play, they smile at them and tell them, sure, yes. Okay, yes, sure, we want to get your truck and go arrest foreign illegals, and sure, you can put your guns up there. Sure, we want to give a gun to everybody, and nobody has to. You talk to those crazies to get them to go, them toothless crazies, to go vote for you. And then you don't talk to them no more for 4 years until you need them again. Well, what they did was they allowed those crazies, Donald Trump allowed those crazies, he politicized them. And he let them get in office. And so that is what's happening. They have empowered the crazy faction of their party.
Well, let me just say this. We're going to talk more and more about this. We're not done. But listen, we know we got to get out of here today, and we want to just tell you, yes, sir, we are. We're definitely there. Well, we're going to a funeral, as you said.
I thought she was funeral.
Yeah, I mean, you knew I was funeral sharp because you knew I was going to a funeral. You know, again, we're going to have to put it. We're going to put in your next contract. Don't prefabricate stuff.
Well, you look like you can wake the dead.
That's what I want to put in. The next contract is don't prefabricate. But listen, we're going to get ready to get out of here. We got to go, honestly, really. But as you are there listening to Straight Talk, I want you to tune in next week. We have a great program for you and mine as we do each week. But we're going to have Brother Preston Pearson, who is an author and a writer. And he wrote a book about survival, mental health. We're going to be on mental health too, because there are a lot of people suffering from mental issues, and they are people who are, and see every day. But it is what it is. But we'll have Preston with us next week. You don't forget to tune in to nothing but straight talk. It ain't nothing but straight talk. And listen, hit that bell, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell so you can get the notice when we come on.
We gotta get out of here.
Hit the bell so you get the notice when you can get on, and when we come on, you can get on and see what's going on with this, and we're gonna have a great time each and every week. Subscribe to our channel, email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. If you'd like to be a host, a guest. Oh, I'm not trying to fire you.
See, here we go. Here we go.
You want to be trying to get rid of me? You want to be a guest on the show? You can. That's 1362 at Straight Talk at 1362@gmail.com. Until next week, you stay tuned to nothing but what? Straight Talk.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fann at FANN922@comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Greg Fann, the Preacher Man.